both the Houthi, Somalia, and Iran are effectively targeting global shipping and creating a global economic problem. This is going to cost billions of dollars. The fact that I get a note from somebody in the Navy who doesn't quite understand that tells me a lot about the fact that the Navy focuses on the military, which is, I expect them to do. They don't understand the commercial aspect. And the commercial aspect here is that Iran, Somalia, and Houthis are being extremely effective in disrupting. Now, understand this, the root of all of this goes back to Israel and Hamas and Gaza. That's the root of this. And, a lot of people will tell me that if you fix that, you fix this. I'm not 100% sure about that because Iran has been doing this long before that. But the most recent attacks by the Houthi in Yemen and by the Somalis, who are, I think, allied with the Houthi, these attacks are really significant and they seem to be expanding. There are two separate operations going on. There's the anti-piracy operation, CTF 151, Operation Atalanta, out in the Arabian Sea, trying to stop the Somali piracy aspect, and then Operation Prosperity Guardian, protecting the vessels going up. Remember, this can change overnight. We haven't seen the use of mines, for example, which would be catastrophic in this region. We haven't seen ships get physically hit and damaged to a level where fire and crew death becomes an issue. Let's not forget there is a crew being held hostage right now. They're not guests of the Houthi, they're hostages. The Galaxy Leader has been held since November. This is a major attack against global shipping, and you're going to feel it in your pockets. I guarantee you that. You're going to see inflation. You're going to see higher freight rates. You're going to see higher costs. This is a significant conference held by Vice Admiral Brad Cooper. Admiral Cooper is the commander of the U.S. Fifth Fleet. That is the naval forces in and around the Middle East. It's under U.S. Central Command based in Bahrain. He's also concurrently the commander of the Combined Maritime Forces. Combined Maritime Forces oversees CTF 153. This was the organization stood up last year to oversee the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, and the Bab el-Mandab. They are overseeing Operation Prosperity Guardian. So he gave a press conference, which was not on camera, but for the record, that broke down a lot of these issues. I'll have a link to it and you can go through it. There was a lot of questions asked of him about it. There's also a good summation by Mike Schuller over at G Captain that talked about it. But a couple of the key things that came out that really struck me about this is, number one, is he talked about how Operation Prosperity Guardian, guarding this region here in and around the Persian Gulf, was defensive in nature. He wanted to clarify, because a recent statement that came out from the United States and several allies really laid out to the Houthi that we were done, that you have this last moment to really think about what you're doing. And that statement was a really interesting statement. This is the joint statement put out by the governments of the U.S., Australia, Bahrain, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Germany, Italy, Japan, Netherlands, New Zealand, Korea, Singapore, and the United Kingdom. Significantly missing from this, obviously, are countries like China, which you expect not to be in a joint press release from the United States. But interestingly enough, you're also missing France, for example, which is a member of Operation Prosperity Guardian. You also don't see some other key countries in here. But this statement was really unique because it really laid out to the Houthi that the U.S. and its countries were getting tired of it. What I found the most interesting was this. These attacks threaten innocent lives from all over the world and constitute a significant international problem that demands collective action. Nearly 15% of the global seaborne trade passed through the Red Sea, including 8% of global grain trade, 12% of seaborne traded oil, and 8% of the world's liquefied natural gas trade. Okay. You're basically telling the Houthi you're being successful. This is what you're doing. You're successfully interdicting this. I don't think this is the message you wanted to spread, but it's the message they did spread. But the statement by Admiral Cooper was a lot different because he was talking about Operation Prosperity Guardian, this very defensive action. He talked about what the naval forces had been able to do, the fact that 15,000 ships have been able to get through this region without issues. 1,500 ships were able to get through the area without problems since the inception of the operation. On December 18, talked about the number of missiles they've intercepted and drones, which isn't the total amount. It's just since the beginning of the operation. The fact that no vessels has been hit since the inception. There was a lot of conflicting information about ships being hit, but Admiral Cooper was adamant that no ship had been hit since the beginning of this. But the thing that struck me the most about this was he was doing it with 5 ships. That is a substantially small number of ships, and he didn't break down whose vessels they were, but 5 ships to screen an area of several hundred miles is a problem, because what they're doing is basically being extremely defensive. He used the analogy of a zone defense in sports, that they're not playing one-on-one, man-to-man. Although I would argue they are in some cases. I think the French, for example, are detaching their ship, the frigate they have in the area, to escort through the CMA, CGM ships. So there's a lot still to be learned about this operation.